What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and today is 53-man roster day. And I know Kansas City Chiefs fans are extremely excited to see who actually made this team as we head into the first week of the football season. It's going to be an exciting time, ladies and gentlemen, heading to Brazil to take on the Los Angeles Chargers. But before we get too far ahead, let's really break down this roster. And I really am excited to kind of talk about some of the people that made the roster and kind of what we can forecast for the future. So jumping right in, quarterback. I think it was blatantly obvious. Patrick Mahomes isn't going anywhere, and Gardner Minshew is going to be the backup. So real no analysis there. I think it just is clear as day why those were chosen. And so we're going to move on to the running backs. Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, and Brashard Smith. To be honest, I am completely satisfied with this. I did make a video really kind of covering the running back room. Isaiah Pacheco looks extremely healthy, ladies and gentlemen. He has that burst. He has the agility. He has the side-to-side. We've seen that in the preseason. We saw that in training camp. He's going to be your clear back. He's going to get fed the football, and we're going to see a good year out of Isaiah Pacheco. I truly believe that. Plus, he's in a contract year. He's got to truly show out to get that money that he wants. Kareem Hunt is coming back. It's an exciting thing for Kansas City, and even though he came back last year, I still believe there's some nostalgia with Kareem Hunt making this football team. I think the fans really gravitate towards him. It was great to see in the ESPN Disney documentary, The Kingdom, about the Chiefs and kind of Kareem Hunt's situation and him learning from his situation and him wanting to really kind of contribute back to Kansas City. He didn't believe that Kansas City was going to come calling. So the fact that he turned around, made this team, I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder, and I think he's going to be able to run the football with some aggressiveness. I truly believe that. Elijah Mitchell. I believe that he was on the verge of not making this team, but it makes sense to why he made this team. He has that break-off ability. When he's healthy, ladies and gentlemen, Elijah Mitchell is an absolute workload in the backfield. He is an absolute beast when it comes to running the football. His speed, his top-end speed is something to really pay attention to, and I think that that's why he made this team. And Brashard Smith, ladies and gentlemen, we saw in the preseason, it was highlighted multiple times in videos that I made and multiple other YouTubers made. Brashard Smith has the ability to not only run the football, but we saw in that final preseason game against the Chicago Bears, his catching ability. He really runs good angle routes. He has the ability to catch the football and really provide something to this Chiefs offense that I think is going to be fantastic. Who's to say he can't line up outside either, and kind of throw a kink out there at, lining up as a receiver, lining up in the backfield. There's a lot of things that I think Brashard Smith is going to offer this team when they truly need it. Now, the wide receivers, there was a lot of kind of question marks around why they kept 8, and I think it really makes sense. Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jalen Royals, Tyquan Thornton, Jason Brownlee, and Nico Remigio. Ladies and gentlemen, Rashee Rice at some point will be suspended. And again, that's been talked about across YouTube. That's been talked about across social media. That's going to happen at some point in this season. We know that that's coming down. It's just when, right? So automatically you can kind of say that we're going to start out with 8, but at some point that'll automatically drop down to 7. Jalen Royals has been dealing with a knee injury, and that's also a concern. I don't think it will hinder too much of his season. As of right now, we're kind of figuring that out as it goes. He did not practice, which is kind of concerning in a way, but I really think like the fact that they kept 8, it'll solidify that and kind of help him work his way back in. Now, Jason Brownlee, I'm excited for. I think him getting an opportunity with the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw in the very first preseason game his connection with Mahomes. That was a look that Mahomes gave him and scored a touchdown. It was phenomenal. So Jason Brownlee was able to make the team. And then Nico Remigio, I really think he provides a lot when it comes to special teams. And I think you'll see him a little bit when it comes to, running routes. But I really think Nico Remigio fits with the special teams and what they're going to ask of him for that. Now tight ends. Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Jared Wiley, and obviously the one that's missing is Robert Tonyan. Now, veterans that get cut, specifically like Robert Tonyan, he didn't make the squad initially, but he doesn't have to necessarily go through waivers, and I truly believe that he will end up on this roster. I think for what he showed in, not only training camp, but what he showed in the preseason, really showed that he deserved to be on this team. And I think with football, there's just formalities. especially when it comes to constructing a 53-man roster. You got to think how large these rosters are when they're in training camp, when they're going through the preseason, and they really have to condense down. And it's extremely hard to really kind of create a 53-man roster, but I think Robert Tonyan is the type of guy that will find his way back to this team. I envision it'll be in probably in a few days as well. Now, the offensive line, and I think that they really selected the best possible options when it comes to the offensive line. Josh Simmons is going to be your starting left tackle. Mike Caliendo, and then obviously you got Kingsley Suamatea. He'll be your starting left guard. Creed Humphrey is going to be your starting center. Trey Smith, Jawan Taylor. Wanya Morris was able to make the team. And then obviously Hunter Norzad, Jalen Moore, and then Ethan Driscoll, but he is put on the in. Now the defensive line, Mike Dana, Ashton Gelati, Omar Norman-Lott, Chris Jones, Jerry Tillery, George Karloftis, Charles Omenihu, Malik Herring, which I believe Malik was going to make the squad. And then recently traded back to the Kansas City Chiefs and Derek Nottie. Derek Nottie obviously makes the team for what he can provide in the run defense. A lot of people are surprised Mike Pennell did not make this team. I believe he's a similar situation to Robert Tonyan. It's the way veterans in their situations work. So just because they didn't crack the initial 53, I don't believe they have to necessarily go through waivers, similar to how some of these players do. And so I would envision that what he was able to provide the Kansas City Chiefs through his tenure and his time with the Chiefs, he'll end up finding his way back to this roster. And I think he'll end up contributing throughout the season. I truly do. I just think he provides some very good things, and I think he'll end up being on the roster. One of the areas that I was kind of intrigued, interested, really thought that I wanted to see was the linebackers. Obviously, Drew Tranquill, big fan of Drew Tranquill. I was a huge fan when he was with the Chargers. He comes to the Kansas City Chiefs and just has balled out. He's a very good linebacker. He plays the position that very well. Nick Bolton, obviously we signed him long term. He is the captain of the defense, ladies and gentlemen. He's the brain of the defense. Leo Chenal, Jack Cochran, Jeffrey Bossa. Brandon George was able to make it, but he went on the IR. And then undrafted free agent Cooper McDonald made it. And so excited to see how he's going to contribute through the season, what his role will be, and how he'll come in and contribute to really help this defense. DBs, and I want to kind of dive into this defensive back room. I am kind of interested to see how this will play out. And as of right now, we have Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Noel Williams, Nazeeh Johnson made the team but will go on the IR, Joshua Williams, Christian Roland Wallace, Christian Fulton, Brian Cook, Shamari Connor, and Jaden Hicks. And a lot of people have mentioned that Christian Roland Wallace has kind of been playing a very similar role to Shamari Connor. So I would anticipate that he's going to play a little bit more safety than we anticipate. I think we've seen a lot of the, how it's been broken down and what position he's been playing. He's kind of been filling that Shamari Connor role as well. So he's probably going to be a backup in that area. And then obviously we talked about the corners. Just because this is the 53-man roster right now, that doesn't mean going into the first game that this is exactly what it's going to be. I'm sure some moves will be made, and I'll be interested to see if maybe that defensive back room is addressed. As other teams cut down to the 53-man roster, some guys got cut. And so do the Chiefs go find somebody that they're interested in, maybe somebody that they were watching in draft years previous, and they have identified somebody and they got cut. There's just, that would be an area that I think that they could still improve, would be the defensive back room, because you do have some rookies there, or at least guys that did not have a whole lot of playing time, similar to Noel Williams. Him having to step up and have a significant role in the defense, I think will be a good thing, but also be a challenging thing. So it'll be interesting to see how that's handled. And then with Nazeeh Johnson going on the IR, I think that really kind of solidified the role of Joshua Williams making the team, because a lot of people forecasted that he was kind of on the bubble. It was even kind of talked about a little bit during training camp and where we were seeing him play when it was coming to preseason games. So it's interesting to see Joshua Williams make the team, and I think that's a reflection of Nazeeh Johnson going on the IR. And then special teams to round it up, Harrison Bucker, Matt Ariza, and James Winchester. So kind of some familiar faces there. I really think that this roster is solid. I do. I truly believe it. Is there always room for improvement? Of course. And so I think that the Chiefs are actively looking. We know how Brett Veach works. Brett Veach is always kind of a step ahead. He likes to look. We saw the Derek Nottie trade. We saw, some other moves like Sky Moore getting traded. And so I think there's going to be some people that are really kind of looked at and maybe potentially brought into this roster to make it even better than what it is. Let me know down in the comment section who you're surprised about, who you didn't think would make the team that made the team. Just let me know down in the comment section all your thoughts. I'd be curious to know how you guys thought this 53-man roster shaped up as we get ready to head into this first official football game. I'm excited. I think a lot of people are excited for this to kick off. Football is right around the corner. College is kicking off, so it's just an exciting time, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. And as always, I finish every single video the exact same way because I truly mean it. Have a good day.